What's up, everyone? Taiki here, and welcome to the Crypto Market Wizards podcast. I'm visiting California, my home, for Thanksgiving, so I don't have my usual setup here with me, but I had to get the myth, the legend, Nachi on. How are you doing today?
I'm great.
Awesome, awesome. So I think anyone on crypto Twitter or crypto X knows who you are, but for those that don't, can you give a brief intro of how you got into crypto and what you do now?
So I joined crypto back in 2018. Before that, I worked in TradFi. I was a fixed income fund manager looking for 5 to 7% returns every year. So it's a pretty boring job. And then I was actually saw Bitcoin went from like 1K to 20K in 2017 when I was like I was busy so busy working on my job, and I felt like I really missed out something. And then I actually decided to quit my job in 2018 when a lot of things don't go in my favor in my old job. I also suffered from a pretty serious trauma or eye disorder, which means I couldn't work normally for 1 to 2 years. So that led me to think about what I want to achieve in my life. And then because trading has always been my huge passion, I always wanted to trade full time, making trading as my full time job. So I decided to make a really bold decision to quit my job and then go into crypto rabbit hole in 2018.
Yeah, that's a really similar story to mine. I didn't really join at the bottom, but I know I saw Bitcoin pump. I thought it was a scam, and then a few years later, I'm like, okay, like this thing's actually cool. So I also, I guess, quit my job to like just really dive into this full time. So I guess I was reading your previous Block Beats interview. I can link that in the description below for the viewers. But I think you've had your first big win. Like not that's not Bitcoin during DeFi summer. Can you just briefly talk about that?
Right. So I started dive into the space in 2018. So at that point, I was just slowly trying out different protocols, and I came across DeFi. There are only a few protocols, DeFi protocols back then, but I was very interested in trying out new things. So I tried out Kyber. I also look at what Maker does and dive deeper. And I really think that there's a huge potential right there. And at that point, the valuation of all these DeFi tokens are extremely low that you can at that point RFA is still rebranding, and then you can basically buy all these DeFi coins at really low valuation because no one was using it. But I really sense that there is something very promising and right there. Once I've tried long enough, it just lacks some catalyst. But I always know that its time will come.
Got it. So I guess you were just accumulating all these DeFi tokens while they were cheap, while TPL was still, very low. What did it help that you had a TradFi background so you could kind of see this early?
I think that helps a bit, but to be honest, at that point, no one believes that DeFi would really becomes huge. And at that point, I was introduced to a lot of friends working in crypto, and then I asked them about DeFi. Basically, even those working in crypto doesn't really believe in DeFi. I remember that some crypto friends working in the space saying that finance could never be decentralized. In our first meeting, basically telling everything that basically tell me to get out of DeFi. Don't invest your money in it. Don't invest your chips in it. But the more I try it out, the more I find it could be pretty promising. It just lacks some catalyst, which will come at some point.
In 2018, 2019, and even in the early parts of 2020, DeFi is pretty clunky, right? It didn't really work. Um, but like I guess you were intellectually curious, so you would try things out, and you saw that, okay, if there is some catalyst in the future, there can really, there can like TVL can actually pump. Uh, but your friends, they didn't really believe in it. It's like, how do you build conviction in something where you're like the only one that's that's like a believer, right? How do you be contrarian and believe in something in crypto?
I think you just need to have patience in the whole crypto space in general. No matter how you don't believe, no matter how things look clunky, looks like games, it doesn't look to be promising. You just have to be super open minded in this space to be able to rep the gains earlier than most people out there. So I just keep monitoring the DeFi space. I listen to every podcast I can hear, and I also speak to everyone working in the space that I can reach at that point, and then just slowly gaining my conviction. I always tell myself that DeFi doesn't work right now. It has no users, but it's also true that no one really believes in it. No one thinks it's going to work. That's why it has such a low valuation. But if I'm the right contrarian and I'm right on this thesis, then it would be life changing for me if I accumulate these tokens early. So I just start accumulating some of the tokens early at that point. Basically, at the start, like a starting position, this kind of stuff. Take it as a core option at the start.
I guess, that was DeFi summer, or that was before DeFi summer, and, once DeFi summer got started, everything went up 100x, and,
Right.
you decided to, like, just really, cash in on, I guess, your bags. But let's talk about this cycle. So I have some questions around, the things that you've been bull posting. I mean, your profile picture is a horse with a hat, so I'll ask about memes later. But I think previously you've mentioned that you think we are in the beginning of a golden bull run. So can you kind of expand on that and, like, I guess, your mental framework for where we are in the current cycle?
Right. So I believe that we didn't really have an off season for the whole bull cycle from early 2023. We only have a meme coin bull cycle and a Bitcoin bull cycle. So, but we are finally entering the phase that when Bitcoin hits 100K, and then people start to look at other altcoin bags outside of meme coins, and then ETH finally starts pumping. I think that's the time that people really finally start to rotate the capital outside of Bitcoin, and some people rotate some of the capital outside of meme coins to chase other altcoins, because we are finally entering this phase of off season, which typically lasts around like 2 months, or could be or 2 months or more.
So I guess, you've been a big proponent of holding Bitcoin, Solana, and like meme coins, I guess, like mostly, right? Do you think that there could be a rotation to things like ETH, as you said, and like other tech, I guess, alts? Or is it like a short-term rotation? Like, how do you think about like which sector will perform the best this cycle?
Right. To be honest, is already proven that memes perform the best this cycle. Think no one can really bargain on that. And then for majors, you have Bitcoin, Solana, and then you can also say basically MicroStrategy outperforms so much. It even outperforms Nvidia if you look at the price from early 2020. That's freaking crazy.
Yeah.
So on the other side, you can now see capital rotating to other tokens. The ETH ecosystem is already started pumping, and there are also a lot of like old Dino coins from last cycle pump a lot, like 50%, 60% out of nowhere in a few days. So it's for sure that some of the capital has already rotated outside outside to like the ETH ecosystem, the old L1 old L1s, for instance, to look for some extra gains. And of course, a lot of those old projects would rely on this momentum to basically pump their own coin. So that's what happens. You see in the past week or so, there are so many Dino coins pumping, but I'm sure that a lot of them are like the insiders pumping it for the retail to join, right?
Yeah, it's like it's like the XRP people. I mean, okay, like I'm not gonna hate on any single coin, but people on Twitter have claimed that XRP people are trying to be an advisor for like the Trump administration, and then like the coin starts pumping to crazy amounts. You've mostly been bullish Solana this cycle, over ETH.
Right.
And I think in a past interview you said that Solana is like the ETH of this cycle, right? It's gaining users and whatnot. Do you think that Solana will continue outperforming ETH, or like what are your views there?
I mean, like Ethereum will has its at its moment. I think it started to show that it's finally catching up. That doesn't mean that Ethereum is a strong is stronger than Solana as the whole ecosystem in this stage. It's just we are at the later part of the cycle, such that all the laggards will get pumped, and Ethereum is just one of the biggest laggards in the space. So Solana just hit around all-time high. So of course, naturally, it will need some healthy consolidation, and then for other L1s, including Ethereum, to make a run before Solana to make another big run. So the capital just keeps rotating from here and there, searching for more gains in short term.
Yeah, so I guess it's all these capital rotations. It's like, oh, okay, Bitcoin pumped and it's a lot of pumps, so let's try to pump out, let's try to pump the things that are unpumped. But I guess are you playing these rotation games, or are you just sitting in your hands, in your higher conviction bags, just trying to manifest pumps? Like, and like how are you like positioned right now?
So of course, I have my core bags. I have my core bags. I have my core pets. A lot of them in memes, but I also have some of the capital playing the rotation game in other space. So I just put some of the capital in other sectors such as AI. I put some capital in other L1s just to play some short term rotation games. That's it.
So let's talk about your memes, because you said that you have a core meme holding. It seems like you were contrarian and early and right for DeFi in 2018 to 2020. And you have been bull posting memes throughout the cycle, so you have been right there as well. This is a tweet from, when is this, like November 8th. So this is like, good goat morning, Nero and Mudang. Welcome to our new zoo. So it seems like you're bullish the animals here. Can you just
Yeah.
talk about your, I guess, meme thesis for this cycle? And we can talk about the individual coins later, but just let's start with like, what is your meme coin thesis for the cycle?
I'm not going to say something spectacular like Murat said. I'm
Yeah,
not
he's
going to.
a great speaker. He's a great speaker.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, Honestly, of course, for everyone, like holding the meme coins, holding the meme coins they want to hold. They always want to listen to like super spectacular story. We are in this ultra super duper meme coin cycle for like 5 to 10 years. Um, Honestly, no one knows. And no one has crystal ball to be honest. The only thing I can say that we are already in in midway of this meme coin super cycle. So a lot of meme coins, um, pump so quickly from nothing to a few hundred million or even to a billion. And of course, gold is the outlier there. It pumped to nearly a billion from zero for like 15 days. So we are definitely in a super cycle, and we are right there. How long and how many years it's going to take, honestly, no one knows. But I believe that as but I believe that the meme coin space still have a lot of room to grow bigger, and we are now in the mid stage, at least for a lot of like meme tokens, we are at the mid stage of it. And then for some of the new memes like AI memes like gold, I think we are still at the early phase, because the AI memes only started for around 2 months. But if you talk about like memes like with has existed more than 1 year already, and not to mention about Doge and Pepe, for instance, they existed much longer. So for some of the memes, we're in the mid cycle. For some of the memes, we are still on the early cycle. Depends on what you think about this.
I definitely agree. Like, why do you think this is happening? A lot of people say that it's because VC coins are just launching at too high of a valuation. Retail gets fleeced. So, if retail is going to speculate on crypto coins, they might as well speculate on things that could pump, right? Or like things that are like lower market cap, like memes. Do you have like, any views on like why this is happening? Whereas like last cycle, it was more around tech and DeFi and Alto ones.
Good question. So basically, I think that the sector which attracts most capital, no matter is because of entertainment, no matter is because of money, ultimately the sector which attracts the most demand will win. So what does retail what so the space this space right now is still consisted of mostly retail. So what does the retail care about? So they care about money, they care about entertainment. I think that's, like most retail in this space really cares. So does those VC coins give you help retail make a lot of money? Definitely not, because they raise as sky high valuations. You can see that from all the coins listed early half of this year, they were all down only. So all the coins listed in Binance early of the year were down only. So there's no money to be made by this retail, but they get wrecked. And also, whether there's an entertainment value right there, I don't think there's much either, because a lot of those VC coins are just the natural extension of other VC coins last cycle. So there are not many innovative stuff here. There are not many new stuff that the retail can play. So there's also not much entertainment value there. For instance, for DeFi last cycle, you can say that all the DeFi games are new, right? So the loop borrowing in Compound, Aave, and then you got Wi-Fi, and then you got or the Ponzi stuff, Luna, right? Every game is so new, it's so fresh, right? But in this cycle, you don't all those VC projects don't really offer this kind of entertainment value, and they don't offer an opportunity to make money either. So what was the game in town? Memes. That's the only.
I agree. Like, I mean, last cycle, I was known for aping into Ponzi yield farms, and I mean, we all knew it was a Ponzi, but it was just fun, right? Like, it's like, oh my god, I can buy
Yeah.
this coin, stake it here at million% APY. Oh, why is it pumping? I have no idea, but like it's kind of like this MMORPG slash game. But I think the yield farming game has mostly been solved. We all know how it ends. At some point, it goes to zero. Um, and obviously, right, like meme coins are dangerous and most go to zero, but we have already seen all these stories of like whiff or like any of these coins pumping, and retail is naturally just going to want to chase these pumps. And speaking of chasing these pumps, you mentioned AI memes and goat. I also love the goatsy. So you posted here that you Nachi, if Truth Terminal wants to hear it directly from the horse's mouth, then I shall speak. I have acquired 4% of goat's supply, 4%. It will be the trade of the cycle. So first of all, like, I mean, can you kind of talk about your goat thesis? And like, how did you just like market by 4%? Like, like how did you like how do you think about position sizing here? But yeah, but first let's talk about your goat thesis.
AI memes are the perfect intersection between AI and memes, which you talk about is the omega cycle, which you know everyone should have listened to your video, right? Yeah. So basically, it unites the left, mid, and right curve easily, right? So when the AI memes like go that out, you can see so many not only left curve people but the right curve people or the venture guys, the VC guys, even they can't invest in these memes in for the VC, but all of them are very interested in gold and this new matter. So I think this point is very clear for everyone. But I want to talk about the significance of truth of terminal and gold and how it kickstart this crazy new experiment. And I think everyone didn't know about AI before ChatGPT released. The gap between the reality and dream was so big, and nobody really knew what is AI. But when ChatGPT released, everyone was like, "Boom! Okay, I know what is coming next. I know what stage AI is at right now." So I think actually the AI memes give me this chat GPT moment in crypto actually. Um, why? Because it actually you I think a lot too many people like focus in like trading the memes and making money, but a lot of people actually didn't realize that we've only spent 2 months starting from this new AI meme method started by truth of terminal and gold, and then we have already seen so many experiments um, started already. So for instance, you can see a lot of like bots actually can read and understand what people tweet on Twitter and then reply them um, meaningfully. And then you can also see DAO setting up for AI to make bets for different portfolios. And then you also see some new all different kind of AI new experience which have never been seen this cycle, which is so innovative, so new. It actually reminds me so much about like what we've experienced early DeFi summer, what we've experienced in DeFi summer. And to me, this is really like the ChatGPT moment in AI crossover crypto because everything is so new. You never know how far this would go because these are AI bots. You never know where the ceiling is. So just wow.
Yeah, I think the two things you said earlier makes a lot of sense. Things like goat, it unites the left curve, the right curve, and the mid curve, right? So people like me, we can all buy into this because it's pretty easy to rationalize, and I think I've been saying like the AI meme coins, right? Like Omega Cycle. I've kind of been like memeing online, but like I'm not even sure if meme coin
I
is the
love
correct
that.
term. I'm not even sure if the meme coin or if meme coin is like the right word. I feel like they're more tokenized LLM, tokenized AGI, but maybe that sounds too complicated and nerdy, so we'll keep it as like meme coins. But all these agents, they're gonna keep improving, right, with the tech. So you can't just evaluate it for what it is now. You kind of have to dream, right, for the future. It allows you to dream, right? This is a new sector that allows us to dream big. It's like, what could this be? I don't know, but it's going to get a lot bigger. And I think that's one characteristic of a future bubble and reflexive cycles. It's similar to how you saw DeFi early. but like no one else was like, or everyone else was like, oh, like that's not gonna work, right? It's kind of clunky. And then Wi-Fi just goes from zero to like a billion market cap, and then everyone's like, wow, like this is the future of finance. So it always takes some initiating catalyst to get people to dream, and then over time, like things will develop, and then it'll convert more people over time, and like that's kind of the cycle I think will look like for these AI memes. Do you have any thoughts on that? Like, I mean, I just kind of ranted
Yeah,
for like a minute, but
yeah, yeah. Of course. Honestly, if you look at the meme space right now, most of them are dogs and cats. But honestly, how far and how different these dogs and cat memes can go, right? Basically, we have a very clear answer in our head. But for AI memes, actually, no one knows how far and how crazy they could go. So basically for investing in crypto, you want to invest in something which allows people to dream big, dream huge with no limits, right? Why does people love Ponzi, last cycle, like Luna, for instance? It's because the positive loop just enables you to keep going higher and higher. There are no limits, right? But for these memes, there are limits because they are just animals. But for these AI memes, you never know how big and how crazy they could go. This is actually the kind of the dream and Ponzi element that everyone would want to have.
yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
why when I saw that tweet talking about like Mark Andreessen sending 50K for to Andy to start this dusty whole new AI research and truth of terminal, this kind of thing. And then in my head I was thinking, okay, this is it. I have to keep hitting the buy button
You have to keep.
as much as I can.
Yeah, so I mean, I think you hit the buy button a lot of times. You, how many times did you have to click the buy button to get to 4% of go? Like, I mean, like, how do you think? Like, how do you? First of all, I have so many questions. Um, how do you think about position sizing? So it's clear that you built conviction on this trade, but like, okay, like obviously you're like a very successful trader, so you have a lot of money, but is this like is this like a under 10% sizing for you, and you're just thinking of holding it for the cycle? How do you build conviction? How do you think about sizing, portfolio construction? Can you kind of just touch on those points?
I really have to get very excited for me on the trade before I can build meaningful size. So for instance, like when I look at gold, this kind of really rare opportunity, and then on top of my head, I was like, okay, I must get if I can um, at least 5 to 10% of my portfolio at
Okay,
least. So basically at least 5 to 10%. Um, I'm willing for this kind of trade, which I think the sky is the limit, and then I also assess that the risk is pretty low. Then I would risk all the money I have. I mean that all I will risk all the money that I build into this position.
got it, got it.
Right. So, but for other trades, for instance, if there are already like established projects already listed on SAX, which is much safer, and then I would be able to take variable sizing ranging from 5% to 30%, depends on my conviction on the trade, both fundamentally and technically. And yeah, that's that's basically it. But for building positional building the size, of course, I do by tranches. So I usually at least do 4 tranches. So usually after I bought the first and second tranche, I would get a very good feeling that whether this trade has a high probability to win or not, and then I take it from there.
Got it, got it. Yeah, so I guess I've read all the Market Wizards books, and there's some commonalities there. I guess you first build a conviction, you buy a little bit, and then you get a feel for the narrative, the thesis, and then as you feel more confident, you can add more over time. So I guess you kind of have tranches. So like you buy once, then second time, three times, and then you eventually get to a size that you want. Is that kind of is that correct in
Yeah,
your?
yeah, yeah. That's correct. That's correct. And one point I want to add is I really like to own leader of the space. For instance, like the meme sectors, I own all the leaders of different subsectors. So, for instance, for dogs, I own Doge. I own With and a bit of Bonk. And then for cat coins, I will own a bit. I will own some pop cats. So I always like to buy the leaders because I just feel better and less volatility. I can also build a bigger size. There's also a bigger mode, and there's also better liquidity. And of course, if the trade is a new matter and it's still relatively early, then it's even better.
Got it. Yeah, I've kind of had this question, or I don't know the answer to the question. I've been asking this myself, but obviously with meme coins, the first meme coin has a moat, right? It's like the first, right? Doge is the first, therefore Doge will probably not be flipped by any other meme coin. But when it comes to the AI memes, maybe they're not pure memes. They're more of like a tech play. So potentially they could get flipped. You had this tweet here where, you bought some, I guess, AI 16Z, Zerebro, some fart coin. Uh, do you think Goat will continue to be number one, or do you think it could be flipped? Uh, and I guess like you own a lot of Goat, but can you just briefly talk about like the mid to smaller cap memes? Do you still think that they're decent trades?
The reason that I own so much gold is because I think that the leader of this space actually for a lot of different sectors is the same as well. Because Truth of Terminal is the first AI experiment and the first AI meme. It came out of nowhere, and then it was the first. It's supported by A16C. Basically, its dominance cannot be competed by any other AI memes. Even if you think that other AI memes can make a better bot, they can treat better, they can reply messages to people better, but that doesn't matter, right? Because if you learn about the story between like Bitcoin and all the other Bitcoin forks trying to beat Bitcoin, no projects really work and enable flip Bitcoin because people will always think that the first one is always will always have a special space in this. It will also have a special space. So basically, to me, gold is the BTC in AI memes. It will never be flipped. So
Oh,
that's
interesting.
why I own a huge chunk of gold, and for the other AI meme bets, I only hold a much smaller position.
Okay, no, I appreciate that thought. That's really interesting. I keep going back and forth on this. I think I do agree. I think I do agree. The story is very compelling. And like Bitcoin, I mean, technically, right? Bitcoin doesn't have the best tech, but it's the first. You can say that for a lot of other coins. But now I do want to pivot to audience questions. So, you know, Mr. NG here asks, with these memes, what is your take profit strategy? And I guess, do you have some useful things you've learned this month from just trading memes on chain that you didn't know before?
Profit taking strategy while trading memes on chain. So I think a prudent strategy would be, when, for instance, if you want to look at all the AI memes and then you do some, I know a lot of people actually don't do any research, but they A first, research later.
Yeah.
I think that's all right if the size is more and you're willing to risk everything. But for me, my approach is I still do some research no matter what. I because even for AI meme projects, there are still so many that I want to spread my bets into the ones which have a high probability to hit. So I normally won't ape into a meme when it's just launched, but I want to wait longer until there's a high probability that it will survive before I enter into a position. So that's my strategy for entering the position. For take profit strategies, and for these new AI memes, I would usually take some off after it went up for a few weeks, just to lower my cost a bit, and then ride the rest. And honestly, I'm very good at looking at technicals, but for all these early memes, there are actually not much technicals that you can take you can rely on, but you can look at like how basic roughly how diversified the holders are, whether there's a strong cabal behind, by looking at the price action, whether they're controlling the memes and controlling the price well, whether the project makes sense, whether it has more longevity, this kind of stuff, right? And then when you look at all these stuff and make a judgment, and then you decide whether you size up or not.
Hey, Taiki here. If you're enjoying the content, please like and subscribe. I don't run YouTube ads or have sponsors on this channel, so I'd really appreciate it. Your engagement will help this video reach more people, which will allow me to book better guests in the future. Now back to the episode.
So I think you're number 6 now on Binance. Of course, this changes every time, but you've been a very successful trader. I guess on perps, spot, etc. How did you get here? And I guess what are some common traits of successful traders?
Right. How do I get here? I just keep grinding, every cycle, every month, every week, maybe every day. Just keep maintaining the drive to get better, being very open-minded, very humble, but remains having the drive to get better and better. So when you look at all the most successful people, for instance, like Steve Jobs would always say, like, stay hungry, stay foolish, right? No matter how successful you are, stay hungry, stay foolish. That's what I always remember. So my goal is just keep getting better and better, proving to myself, my family, and everyone that, like, even someone who suffered from severe adversity many years ago can live a very different life, can prove themselves, can earn respect from other people. And yeah, I just want to do something which is meaningful to me. And then later, when I make when I became a great enough trader, which I've started doing, is trying to make donations here and there to make the world better.
No, that's really great of you. And thank you for sharing earlier and just now that I guess when you were working your old job, you had some trauma and you couldn't really work for a year or two. Can I dig a little bit deeper on that? So, I mean, you don't have to, talk, or you can go as deep as you want, but I guess what did you learn from having this trauma? And you obviously bounced back, but obviously I think every person in crypto has gone through their ups and downs, right? Like when everything's pumping, it's like I'm a genius, and then you wake up. I think in your interview you said that in May 2021, like I think there was a day where like everything went down like 50% in a single day, and your portfolio was
Yeah,
70%,
yeah.
right? So I guess how do you deal from things like big pullbacks or like drawdowns or just these trauma events? Is it just like this constant belief in yourself? Is it, yeah, if you can expand on any of those points.
Right. To be honest, when I suffered from that trauma, so I had an eye disorder, which basically I have really blurred vision one day when I woke up. So when I look at my computer, and then everything is blurred. I can't work. I can't see anything. I don't know what happened. And then it literally took me more than 1 year to find out I have a rare eye disease, which is something that could be the situation could be moderated and fixed short term, as long as I don't do some crazy things, but I need to do an operation. But it doesn't mean that the operation must be successful. There's some failure rate there. So even if you complete the operation, the situation may not get stabilized, and if you do another operation, this kind of stuff. So I really don't. This is the first time in life that I really can't calculate my probabilities on like on how much probability that I'll be blind, how much probability that I'll recover, this kind of stuff. So I had depression back then because there's just so much uncertainty right there, and even the doctor at that time can't tell me what's coming. So what I did was, I just do a combination of things. I did a lot of meditation. I went to Chinese doctors to subscribe some medicines to help with my emotions, and then I do a lot of exercises all the time. That's how I gone through it, and then luckily I someone introduced a good doctor to me, and then told me what really happened, and then later I did the operation, got the problem temporarily fixed. Although I still have some eyesight issues, which means that I actually get tired quite easily. So that means I have to focus a lot of time on my trades, for instance, and I don't have the luxury to be able to, for instance, like doing a lot of trades, like sharing a lot of trades on online, and at the same time also manage my trades well. I have to. That's why I can only trade once in a while. But I bounced back so much after my eye problems were fixed, and then in hindsight is probably like the best thing that's changed my life, because after that happened, it made me think about what is really meaningful to my life. What do I really want to achieve? It made me very driven and made a very certain goal on what I want to achieve. And then things just get better and better when I grind harder and harder in the past few years.
Got it. Yeah, no, thank you so much for sharing that. I guess, I've shared my story before, but, uh, I mean, it's not really similar, but I guess, like, I lost my mom to cancer, when I was young, and it was, like, hard, but I, like, got through it, and I think I became, like, a better man as a result, like a stronger man,
No,
I guess.
I didn't
Yeah,
know
yeah.
that.
Oh, no, it's okay, but it's more like this idea that, the world beats you down. It's like something you have zero control over, and then you're like, "What the fuck is happening?" And then once you bounce back, you feel like you can achieve anything. And I think a common misconception maybe is that successful traders in crypto or just anywhere in general are just eternally online. But it sounds like you don't have the luxury of just looking at your screen every single 16 hours a day, right? So I guess your trading style has to adjust for, I guess, your eye condition, right? So I guess now you just have to build a lot more conviction on each trade. You have like a longer time horizon. What is your trading style? Or how would you describe your trading style?
Actually, it's better that way, because I honestly believe that the longer the time horizon, the easier to make big money. So the shorter time you sit on a trade, the less money you can make. When you look at the history, or the investment legends, or the big trades are made by sitting all the money are made on sitting rather than like trading day in day out. So
Right.
I think that's actually not a big problem. So I would say my style is um, this highly discretionary and directional, and I pick my bets very selectively. But if I chose that bet, I normally go bigger than a lot of people. So
Got it.
you will see that my trades, it as long as it went well, it would go really well because I selectively I I normally only pick those like double A, triple A setup, which has a very high probability win, and then I add on the position when the probability is in my favor. So my hit rate is normally pretty high, and why when I hit the trade is usually pretty damn good.
Interesting. Okay, so you know your hit rate's pretty good. You said that you only take really, high probability bets or asymmetric risk reward. So like, what are the characteristics of these, you know, highly probabilistic trades? Like just yeah, can you talk about like what you need to see for you to just put on size?
Right. The high probability trades are the ones with like fundamental and technical both aligned. So for instance, an example would be finding gold early. So fundamentally it's a very new matter. No one knows where the sky the valuation is. Sky's the limit. And then it's also the first of all the AI new experiments. So that's a triple A fundamentally, and then for technically, or look for like the good time, some of the better timings in the chart to enter my positions at the size and slowly build up the size basically.
You look at the fundamentals, the narrative, and the technicals, and if all those align, then those are the setups that you typically want to take.
Yep. So that's basically Druckenmiller's approach, right? If
Right.
you listen to his story, then Druckenmiller's has at least he talked about he has two masters in trading. One master is very good at fundamentals. One master is very good at the technicals. So basically, his approach is to combine both of them because there are just so many projects, so many stocks out there. So why don't you just pick those stocks with the best chart, with the best fundamentals, and then go big on it?
Right. Yeah. I think he's famous for just sizing up on trades. Because and going for the jugular, as he says. Because if the trade idea
Yeah.
is so good, then why aren't you betting more, bro? Right? Or that's what I
Exactly.
said. Yeah.
That's one of the common traits I mentioned about, which is look for bets very selectively with high probability, look at risk to reward, and then the trader should be very confident to make big bets, even if it's contrarian. You should have strong risk management, and then you should have good position sizing. And the last thing I think is very important is a great trader doesn't give a fuck about taking losses. If you're confident enough in making money in your trades, you don't fucking care if you need to take a 10 million of loss or 20 million of loss. You'll make it back.
I love it. I love it. I, yeah, I don't know where you're like, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck about losses. Yeah. But speaking of losses, right? You have it sounds like when it comes to memes, you're betting on the leader, because technically, like winners should continue to be winners over time. But like, when do you admit that you're wrong, right? So you have Doge, Bonk, with Popcat, like Go, right? And I'm sure you have other memes, and they're for you to put them on, they're pretty high conviction, but not all trades end up panning out. So you know, I guess take any of your past trades or current trades as examples, but uh, what do you do when, a trade goes against you? Do you just cut losses and move on? Or, like, what do you need to see for you to be like, "Okay, like, I was wrong. Time to just move on."
Right. First of all, the trade, the trade, the first sign that the trade is wrong is you're making losses. So
Right.
that's the first sign. And the second sign to me is it doesn't look right in the chart, such that when you enter into a position, you would have a certain expectation on the positive scenario that it should go up in certain ways. But if it doesn't, and then it get dumped, and then there is some like very bad patterns or huge volume pattern happening, which I think has a cause of concern, or it dropped below a certain strong support that I didn't expect it to happen, I will start to cut. But I won't cut 100% of my position. I will also cut in tranches. So sometimes depends on the scenario. Sometimes I will cut half first. Sometimes if I'm very sure that I'm wrong, then I would cut like 75% and leaving the rest and for further confirmation. And of course, I have a lot of losing trades in the past as well, and I don't mind sharing. And one of the worst loss I had is actually shorting on Luna last cycle. So I knew Luna is a bubble, but I shorted a bit too early, and I didn't manage my risk good enough, and then that incurred a pretty big loss.
I think I heard a lot of stories like this where, everyone knew it was a bubble, they kept shorting on the way up, but maybe the best time to short was when it was, like, going down. You're like, when it starts going down, like, that's when you should short instead of, like, trying to pico time the top, right?
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. The
yeah.
best time to short is always to ride on the momentum, similar to how we buy breakouts.
Right, right. Well, Nachi, we're almost an hour in to the conversation. I know you're a busy guy, so I don't want to take too much of your time. But I have two more questions. So I always ask this to, or this, I always ask this question to a guest, but I think a lot of people watching this interview, probably sitting on, 5 to 6 figure portfolios, and they really want to make it. So let's just simplify, right? Let's say someone has like a $50,000 portfolio right now, and they want to get to like a million, right? That's a lot of people's dream. Um, how would you advise someone to, take a mid-sized stack and turn it into a large size stack at this current juncture of the market?
Right, that's a really tough one, and
Yeah.
honestly, it really depends on each person's circumstance. So if you are new to the space, then you just join the space, and then you want to ride to 5 to 7 fix. There's still a learning curve you need to make. Even I advise you to stick to DEX screener all day. Basically, everyone new to the space has to pay some tuition, so you have to expect that you'll make losses in the first few months no matter what. So if you're in that kind of scenario, then I would rather put more of my money into the majors, and then take a certain small proportion of your money to play the new stuff. If you want to take more than 10x in a short time, of course you have to stick to DEX screener. You constantly monitoring what is the new meta, what is the new trend, and then you have to ape earlier than a lot of people ape early. That's how people can make more than 10x 20x out of those meme coins. But it's also very difficult, and I know a lot of people who are able to make it this way. They pay a lot of tuition in the first 3 to 6 months before they caught a big fish. So I think people who just started trying this out, playing this new game, should expect the same. But if you already stick to DEX screener for like 6 months plus, then I assume you have pretty good experience in chasing memes, in playing memes, then you could be more aggressive about it and just focus on what's the new matter, what's the new matter which is going to become 10x or 20x bigger in the next few months or so, and then you just do more research and then buy the leader, and then spread and pray into some of their better quality projects in that matter. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah. So I guess, if you're new, right, just understand that you're new. You're not a genius. Just
Yeah,
allocate X
yeah.
some percent of your portfolio.
Self awareness is extremely important.
And I guess the last question I have for you is, there's a lot of people watching this, right? And they want to make it, depending on like what everyone has their own definition of like wanting to make it. But do you have any final words of wisdom to, like the viewers of this podcast?
First of all, I think everyone who grinds hard enough will make it at the end. So the difference is only about the time. So don't try to over leverage. Don't try to think. Don't try to aim too big, too greedy, and get rich too fast, because that's always the best way to ruin yourself. I strongly believe that we are in a very strong, a very I strongly believe we are in a very strong super cycle that that will take many years, a 10 to 15 years kind of cycle for the space to start become mature. So there's still a lot of opportunity for you guys to actually ride on a lot of different opportunities. So I mean, don't try to rush to make it this cycle, because when you have Trump, um, when you have Trump now, you basically are guaranteed to have a super cycle like in the next 4 years. Meaning it still will still have downside, but Bitcoin probably only have 40% to 50% of drawdown now in the bear cycle. So you have a lot of time to make it in this space. I still strongly believe that we have at least 10, 15 years or even 10, 20 years before this space mature. And so take things slowly. Don't try to make it make a crazy leverage bet, or like a crazy leverage on your portfolio, or even a few times, just one time of over leverage without experience and discipline would kill you. So yeah, take it slowly.
Yeah, don't try to don't try to run it up in like a month, right? I think there's a
Ex-
saying, like if you manage the downside, the upside will take care of itself. So just never blow up.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. All the investment legends, their portfolio become huge because of compounding effects. It's not because of you make a crazy trade and you make 10 million then overnight. It's not about that. Like investment is a marathon. So you make your returns by slowly compounding over years, not not by making a crazy. I know there's something really bad, like look on chain, always posting some meme coin traders making more than 10 mil, or turn a few $100s to a few million. This kind of trips actually mess up people's minds, because you know people will feel FOMO by playing some really high risk strategies, but they shouldn't.
Well, thank you so much, Nachi, for your time. I think there's a lot of good nuggets, and I definitely learned a lot. Um, yeah, thank you for your time. I know you just had your final words, but do you have any final words before we stop recording?
I think that we are entering the parabolic phase of the cycle. So I think the next 2 months are going to be crazy. But try not to lose your mind because towards the most crazy, most euphoric phase of the cycle, it like in like 2 months or so, when everybody shouts for like crazy targets like Bitcoin to 200K, ETH to 10K, is where you should have a lot of caution, and then keep, talk to your normie friends who never got into the space about whether they are interested in Bitcoin, whether they have made his first purchase. I think the time that they've got interest, they've started to be very interested right now, but the time that when they start to aggressively buying, that's the time that you should start to exit.
Okay, that's very encouraging for my bags, a few months of parabolas, and then when the normies start buying, evacuate, evacuate, or
Yeah,
start
yeah,
evacuating, right?
exactly.
Start
Yeah,
evacuating at least. Okay, well, thank you
yeah.
so much, Nachi. I love this conversation. I think the audience will too, and I hope you enjoyed the episode. And I'll
Yeah,
see you
really
guys.
enjoy it. Thanks so much for having me. My
Yeah, of
pleasure.
course.
Thanks for watching until the end. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. For additional content, make sure to check out my premium Discord where I post 3 additional videos per week and I share my portfolio in real time. Thank you again for your support, and I'll see you another time. Bye-bye.